The story opens in a small dusty town tucked away on the edge of the vast frontier, a place where the days seem to stretch endlessly under the burning sun and the nights fall quiet and star-filled. The town, barely more than a cluster of wooden buildings, is home to a handful of people who know one another's stories, secrets, and scars. Life here is slow, simple, and often unforgiving, shaped by the rhythms of the land and the rugged demands of survival. At the heart of this town lives Jake, a man whose reputation precedes him, though few truly know the man beneath the surface. Known by locals as the mean cowboy, Jake's demeanor is as rough and unyielding as the arid landscape around him. He is a man who keeps his distance, a loner who speaks little and trusts even less. His face is weathered, marked by years spent working the land and fighting battles no one ever saw. But it is his cold, piercing eyes that most unsettle those who cross his path. They say he's dangerous, unpredictable, and best left alone. Jake's solitary existence is not by accident. Years ago, he had hopes and dreams like any other man, but life's harsh realities and painful losses hardened him. The town whispers of a tragedy that changed him. Some say a lost love, others a betrayal or a deep family wound. Whatever the cause, Jake buried his emotions beneath layers of toughness and silence, convincing himself that loneliness was safer than the risk of heartbreak. Over time, his isolation became both shield and prison. He lives on the outskirts of town in a small, weather-beaten cabin surrounded by untamed wilderness. The cabin is modest but sturdy, filled with the simple tools of a man who relies on his own strength and skills. Inside, the air carries the scent of worn leather, wood smoke, and faint traces of pine. Despite his rough exterior, the cabin is neat and orderly, a silent testament to Jake's pride in what little he has built with his own hands. The townsfolk observe Jake with a mixture of fear, curiosity, and pity. Children are warned not to stray near his property, and adults avoid unnecessary interactions. They call him mean because he rarely smiles, seldom speaks without a gruff tone, and reacts sharply to anyone who invades his space. But underneath this reputation, there's a layer of loneliness that few acknowledge. Even Jake himself wrestles with the emptiness that shadows his every step. Despite his distance from others, Jake's life is intertwined with the town in subtle ways. He works the land, helps with cattle when needed, and though he refuses most invitations, his skills and strength are respected, even relied upon in moments of crisis. The townsfolk recognize that beneath his tough exterior lies a man shaped by hardship and survival, someone who has endured more than anyone fully understands. On this particular day, as the sun rises, casting a golden glow over the dusty streets, Jake performs his morning routine with mechanical precision. He saddles his horse, checks his gear, and prepares for the long day ahead. His movements are efficient, honed by years of experience, but his mind wanders briefly toward a restlessness he cannot shake. There is an emptiness in the familiar rhythm of his days, a yearning for something undefined yet deeply felt. As Jake mounts his horse and rides out toward the open plains, the vastness of the land both comforts and isolates him. The wind whispers through the grass. The sky stretches endlessly, and for a moment he feels a fleeting connection to the world around him. But as the miles stretch on, that feeling fades, replaced by the familiar weight of solitude. The opening scenes establish Jake's character through both his environment and internal struggle. The small town setting emphasizes the starkness of his loneliness, while the details of his rugged lifestyle reveal the skills and toughness that have kept him alive. His reputation as the mean cowboy hints at past wounds and unspoken stories, setting the stage for the emotional journey to come. This beginning also sets a tone of quiet tension. Jake is a man who has built walls around himself, but the narrative hints at the possibility of change, an opening for connection and healing that will challenge his solitary existence. The town itself becomes a silent character, embodying the harshness and isolation that have shaped Jake, while also representing a community waiting for something or someone to break the cycle. In essence, Part 1 introduces readers to a world of contrasts, a land both beautiful and unforgiving, a man both strong and vulnerable, a life both routine and restless. It invites us to look beyond appearances and prepare for a story about overcoming loneliness, finding trust, and discovering unexpected love. The quiet rhythm of the small town is disrupted when Sarah, a single mother, arrives with her young son, Danny. Their arrival marks the beginning of a new chapter, not only for themselves but also for the town and most importantly for Jake, the lone cowboy whose life has been defined by solitude and guardedness. Sarah is a woman of strength and resilience. Shaped by a past filled with hardships she rarely discusses. She has fled a difficult life in the city, seeking refuge and a fresh start in the countryside. Her decision to move here is driven by a fierce desire to provide a safer, more stable environment for Danny, free from the troubles that haunted their former home. Unlike many newcomers, Sarah arrives with a clear purpose: to rebuild her life and protect her son at all costs. Their arrival is anything but unnoticed. The townspeople watch with curiosity and a touch of skepticism. Small towns have long memories and are slow to trust outsiders, especially those carrying visible signs of past struggles. Sarah, aware of these unspoken judgments, is cautious yet determined. She knows the importance of self-reliance and is unwilling to depend on anyone else until she feels she can truly trust them. Sarah's home is modest but cozy, a small house on the edge of town, not far from Jake's isolated cabin. This proximity, unknown to either at first, will soon become a catalyst for change in both their lives. The house itself reflects Sarah's practical nature and her hope for stability. There are signs of recent repairs and improvements, evidence of her commitment to making this place a safe haven for her son. Danny, Sarah's young son, is both curious and shy. His eyes hold a mix of innocence and cautious hope. The move has been a significant change for him, leaving behind friends and familiar places. Though he senses his mother's strength, he also feels the weight of their uncertain future. His presence adds a new dimension to Sarah's life, deepening her motivation to protect and nurture. From the moment Sarah settles in, she senses the watchful eyes of the town, especially those belonging to Jake. His reputation as the mean cowboy precedes him, and his silent presence looms as a mysterious force nearby. Sarah feels a mix of apprehension and intrigue, aware that her son's safety might depend on navigating the unspoken tensions surrounding Jake. As days pass, Sarah establishes her routines, work, caring for Danny, and slowly integrating herself into the town's fragile social fabric. She's careful not to draw too much attention, but is always alert to her surroundings. Her guarded demeanor is a shield built from years of having to fend for herself and her son. Despite her efforts to maintain distance, Sarah's path crosses with Jake's in small, sometimes tense moments: a glance exchanged across a fence, an accidental meeting at the general store, or a brief conversation about the weather or local news. Each encounter is layered with unspoken words and guarded emotions. Sarah is clear about her boundaries. She does not want Jake or anyone else to get too close, especially to Danny. At the same time, Jake finds himself drawn to Sarah's quiet strength and the tenderness she shows her son. Though he struggles to express it, he senses a change stirring inside him, a crack in the armor of loneliness he has worn for so long. But Sarah's firm, "please don't come inside" attitude serves as a stark reminder that trust is not easily given, especially to a man with Jake's reputation. This part of the story explores themes of resilience, protection, and the challenges of building trust. Sarah embodies the strength of a mother determined to provide a safe life for her child, even if that means keeping emotional walls high. Jake's loneliness contrasts with Sarah's guardedness, setting up a dynamic tension that promises growth and change. The small-town setting continues to play a crucial role. It is both a refuge and a place of scrutiny. The quiet tension that has been simmering between Jake, the mean and lonely cowboy, and Sarah, the cautious single mother, comes to a head in their first real encounter. This moment is pivotal. It sets the tone for their complicated relationship and reveals much about their characters, fears, and desires. Jake has been watching Sarah and her son from a distance, his curiosity growing despite his attempts to remain detached. The quiet life he's known, marked by solitude and routine, suddenly feels unsettled. Something about Sarah's resilience and determination stirs feelings in him that he hasn't felt in years, perhaps ever. But years of isolation and hardened emotions make it difficult for Jake to express himself in any way other than gruffness. On a late afternoon, as the sun begins to dip low and cast long shadows over the dusty town, Jake gathers his courage, or what passes for courage in his world, and decides to approach Sarah's house. Maybe it's a simple gesture, to introduce himself, offer help with some heavy lifting, or just to break the ice. But for Jake, any step toward connection feels like stepping into a foreign land. Sarah, meanwhile, remains vigilant. She has heard the stories about Jake, the man who keeps to himself and rarely shows kindness. Her instincts tell her to protect her son at all costs, and that means keeping strangers, especially someone like Jake, at arm's length. She's learned from past betrayals and hardships that opening the door, literally or figuratively, can bring pain. When Jake arrives at her doorstep, his tall, rugged figure framed by the fading light, Sarah is ready. Her hand rests protectively on Danny's shoulder, and her voice is firm as she delivers the words that will echo in Jake's mind. "Please don't come inside." Those few words carry a weight far beyond their simple meaning. They are a boundary, a warning, and a plea wrapped into one. For Sarah, they are a way to assert control in a world that has often felt chaotic and unsafe. For Jake, they are a shock, a reminder that breaking through these walls will not be easy. Jake's response is cautious. He nods, understanding the unspoken message. but there's a flicker of something, hope, perhaps, in his eyes. He tries to soften his voice, explaining that he only wanted to help, that he means no harm. But Sarah remains guarded, her posture tense, signaling that his presence is unwelcome for now. This encounter exposes the layers of vulnerability beneath both characters' surfaces. Sarah's protective nature is born from love and fear, while Jake's gruff exterior masks a deep loneliness and a longing for connection. Neither is fully prepared to lower their defenses, but the moment plants a seed, an acknowledgement that their lives are now intertwined. As Jake walks away from the house, the setting sun casts a warm glow that contrasts with the cool distance between them. He feels a strange mix of frustration and determination. For the first time in a long while, he wants to be part of something real, but he knows it won't come easily. For Sarah, the encounter reaffirms her fears but also sparks a curiosity. Who is this man really? Why does he seem so out of place in the world? And despite her reservations, why does she feel a flicker of something, maybe hope, when she looks at him? This part of the story delves deeply into themes of trust, fear, and the human need for connection. It highlights the barriers people build to protect themselves and the courage it takes to begin breaking them down. The small but powerful exchange between Jake and Sarah sets the emotional stakes high and prepares readers for the slow, often painful journey ahead. The town itself watches silently, a backdrop to the unfolding drama. Neighbors gossip quietly, children whisper stories, and the landscape holds its breath as two very different people begin a dance of distance and desire. In the days following this encounter, both Jake and Sarah will replay the moment in their minds. Jake wonders how he might reach Sarah's heart, while Sarah wrestles with the conflicting feelings of wanting to protect her son, and the undeniable pull she feels toward the lonely cowboy next. Toward this first meeting, marked by a firm boundary and quiet tension, becomes a turning point. It challenges both characters to confront their fears, their pasts, and the possibility that maybe, just maybe, they don't have to face the world alone. Following the tense first encounter between Jake, the solitary cowboy, and Sarah, the fiercely protective single mother, the relationship between them settles into a delicate and uncertain balance. Both are wary, each retreating into their own world, but an invisible thread of connection slowly begins to weave through their lives. After Jake's respectful withdrawal from Sarah's doorstep, he does not push or invade her space again. He understands the unspoken rule that trust cannot be demanded. It must be earned. This moment of respect sets Jake apart from others who might have been more forceful or insensitive. Though he continues to observe Sarah and her son from a distance, he keeps his presence discreet, careful not to frighten them or push too hard. Sarah, meanwhile, focuses on her new life, doing everything in her power to build stability for Danny. She throws herself into her daily routines, working, caring for her son, and maintaining their home. Yet, even as she tries to keep Jake at arm's length, she cannot fully ignore his quiet presence nearby. The knowledge that he watches silently and respectfully lingers in her thoughts more often than she expects. The distance between them is not just physical, it is emotional and psychological. Both are shaped by past pain. Sarah's experience as a single mother escaping a troubled past, and Jake's years of loneliness and isolation. These wounds create invisible barriers, making genuine connection difficult. Sarah's "please don't come inside" becomes more than a boundary. It's a reflection of her fear of letting anyone close enough to hurt her or her son. Despite this distance, small moments continue to bridge the gap. Jake performs acts of quiet kindness, mending a broken fence that threatens Sarah's garden, leaving firewood stacked near her doorstep, or keeping a watchful eye when storms threaten. These gestures go unnoticed by most, but not by Sarah, who senses the care behind them even if she does not yet fully trust him. Jake's own loneliness grows more acute in this time. The emptiness of his life presses in on him, and he begins to realize that survival is not enough. He longs for connection, for someone who sees beyond his rough exterior. But he also fears rejection, knowing how hard it is to break through the walls people build around their hearts. Sarah wrestles with conflicting emotions. On one hand, she is fiercely independent and protective, unwilling to risk the fragile peace she has found. On the other, she senses a glimmer of hope, a possibility that Jake's presence might bring more than danger or discomfort. Her feelings are complicated by memories of past betrayals and the weight of responsibility for Danny's future. This growing distance creates tension in the narrative, an emotional push and pull that keeps readers invested. It highlights the complexity of human relationships, especially those marked by trauma and mistrust. The characters are not yet ready to embrace each other, but the slow unfolding of their connection feels authentic and deeply human. The town continues to observe from the sidelines. Gossip swirls, neighbors speculate, and the quiet mystery of the cowboy and the single mother becomes a topic of quiet conversation. The social environment adds pressure to the characters, reminding them that their actions do not occur in a vacuum. Nature also plays a as Jake and Sarah continue to navigate the uneasy balance between distance and cautious interest. An unexpected danger forces their worlds to collide in a way neither could have anticipated. This event acts as a catalyst, breaking down barriers and forcing both characters to confront their fears, vulnerabilities, and the possibility of relying on one another. The danger could take many forms. A natural disaster like a sudden storm or wildfire sweeping through the area, a threat from an outsider with ill intentions, or an emergency involving Sarah's young son Danny. Whatever the exact scenario, the danger is sudden, real, and immediate, shattering the fragile calm of their daily lives. For Sarah, the threat is terrifying. As a single mother, her first instinct is to protect Danny at all costs. Her past has taught her that danger can come without warning, and she has developed a fierce vigilance born of necessity. But this time, the threat is too great for her to handle alone. She is forced to look beyond her walls and consider the possibility of help. Jake, for his part, steps in without hesitation. Despite his reputation as a mean and solitary figure, the cowboy's instinct to protect kicks in. He is skilled, resourceful, and unafraid to face danger head-on. His actions in this crisis reveal a side of him that few have seen, one of courage, compassion, and unexpected kindness. This moment is pivotal for both characters. For Jake, it is an opportunity to prove that beneath his gruff exterior lies a man worthy of trust and capable of love. For Sarah, it is a moment of revelation, forcing her to reconsider her assumptions about Jake and the walls she has built around herself and her son. The danger also serves as a narrative turning point, shifting the story from tentative distance to emerging connection. It breaks the ice in a way that words could not, creating a shared experience that binds Jake and Sarah together. In the heat of crisis, their differences fade away, replaced by a common goal, survival and protection. As they face the danger side by side, the characters begin to see each other in a new light. Sarah witnesses Jake's strength and bravery, while Jake recognizes Sarah's resilience and fierce love for her son. These insights lay the groundwork for deeper emotional intimacy, even if neither is ready to admit it openly. The physical danger also heightens the emotional stakes. It exposes the fragility of life and the importance of human connection, themes that resonate deeply throughout the story. The characters' actions during this time reveal their true natures and set the stage for the growth and healing that will follow. After the danger has passed, the aftermath brings its own challenges. Sarah and Danny may be safe, but the experience leaves an emotional impact, an increased awareness of vulnerability, and the realization that they are not as alone as they once thought. Jake's role in their survival earns him a tentative place in their lives. Though the road ahead remains uncertain, the townsfolk too respond to the crisis. The event may shift public perception of Jake, softening the harsh judgments and opening doors for new relationships. Sarah's courage and Jake's heroism become part of the local law, influencing the social dynamics in subtle but meaningful ways. This part of the story emphasizes the power of shared adversity to break down barriers and build trust. It highlights how moments of crisis can reveal true character and create bonds that might otherwise never form. The danger tests the characters physically and emotionally, pushing them toward growth and connection. Symbolically, the danger represents the unpredictable challenges of life and love. It is a reminder that no one is truly invulnerable, and that sometimes the only way to survive is to let others in. By the end of Part 5, Jake and Sarah stand closer than ever before, their relationship transformed by the trials they have faced together. While many walls still remain, the cracks have begun to show, allowing light and hope to seep through. In the aftermath of the unexpected danger, something subtle yet profound begins to shift between Jake and Sarah. The crisis they face together has cracked open the walls of solitude and guardedness they both have built so carefully over the years. But trust, like a delicate glass sculpture, is fragile, easily shattered, and painstakingly slow to rebuild. For Sarah, the experience of relying on Jake during the danger was both unsettling and oddly comforting. Her protective instincts had warned her to keep everyone at arm's length, especially strangers. But Jake's courage and unwavering presence in that moment forced her to reconsider her assumptions about him. For the first time, she sees him not as the mean, lonely cowboy the town talks about, but as a man with a heart capable of kindness and sacrifice. However, Sarah's trust does not come easily. The scars of her past, pain, betrayal, and loss make her cautious. She recognizes the vulnerability that trusting Jake entails, especially when it involves Danny, her young son. She fears the risk of opening up, of allowing herself to hope for more, only to be hurt again. Each smile, each kind word from Jake is met with an internal battle between hope and fear. Jake, on the other hand, is slowly learning what it means to be trusted. His usual solitary nature makes him uncomfortable with the idea of emotional closeness. The cowboy who once kept everyone at bay is now faced with the possibility of genuine connection. But old habits die hard. His rough edges, the guarded exterior, and the scars from years of loneliness make him prone to moments of doubt and withdrawal. Despite these challenges, small moments of connection begin to emerge. Perhaps Jake shares a story from his past, revealing a glimpse of the man beneath the tough exterior. Or Sarah allows Jake to help with everyday tasks, accepting his presence in her home without resistance. These interactions, while seemingly simple, carry enormous weight in their journey toward trust. Danny, the young son, also plays a crucial role in this fragile trust. His innocence and open-heartedness become a bridge between his mother and Jake. Watching Jake interact gently with Danny softens Sarah's heart and reassures her that Jake's intentions are genuine. For Jake, bonding with Danny opens a new chapter of responsibility and care, roles he never imagined himself taking on, but now finds meaningful. The small town too begins to sense the change. Gossip and skepticism slowly give way to quiet acceptance as neighbors notice Jake's efforts and Sarah's gradual openness. The social environment, once a source of pressure and judgment, becomes a backdrop against which trust can grow. However, the fragility of this newfound trust means that setbacks are inevitable. Misunderstandings, old fears, or moments of vulnerability can cause one or both to retreat. A harsh word, a sudden withdrawal, or a misread intention can threaten to undo the progress made. The emotional landscape remains rocky, requiring patience, empathy, and courage from both sides. This part of the story delves deep into the complexity of human relationships, how trust is earned, lost, and rebuilt. It portrays the emotional vulnerability required to open one's heart after pain and isolation. Sarah and Jake's tentative steps toward each other highlight the delicate dance of closeness and distance, fear and hope. The themes of healing and redemption resonate strongly in this section. Both characters are on a path toward healing, not just from past wounds, but from the loneliness and mistrust after weeks of cautious interaction and tentative trust building. Jake and Sarah finally experience a moment, a glimmer of hope, that promises the possibility of something more profound than either dared to imagine. This part of the story marks a subtle but significant shift in their relationship, as barriers begin to fall and genuine connection starts to take root. For Jake, this glimmer might come from an act of kindness that Sarah allows him to perform, something small but meaningful, like sharing a meal or joining in a family activity with Danny. It could be the first time he laughs openly in Sarah's presence, or the first time he shares a vulnerable memory. These moments reveal to Sarah, and to Jake himself, that there is more beneath the surface than the mean and lonely cowboy persona he has long worn as armor. Sarah's internal world is also shifting. The walls she has built around her heart begin to soften. While still cautious, she begins to feel the stirrings of trust and even affection. The protective instincts she has wielded so fiercely give way, if only slightly, to a yearning for companionship and support. She starts to see Jake not just as a potential threat or nuisance, but as someone who could be a partner and protector, not just for her but for Danny as well. This hope is fragile, and fragile it must remain, because both characters have faced hardships that make trust difficult. But the very fact that they are beginning to imagine a future together is a triumph in itself. This phase is marked by moments of lightness, laughter, and shared experiences that contrast sharply with the loneliness that previously defined their lives. Danny's role in this glimmer of hope cannot be overstated. His natural curiosity, openness, and ability to forgive and love unconditionally help bridge the gap between Jake and Sarah. When Jake begins to connect with Danny, it not only softens Sarah's heart, but also gives Jake a renewed sense of purpose and belonging. Community interactions might also play a part here. Perhaps neighbors who once whispered doubts begin to see the genuine changes in both Jake and Sarah. Friendly nods, invitations to town gatherings, or simple gestures of inclusion start to break down social barriers. These external validations add to the internal hope growing between the main characters. However, this glimmer is not without its challenges. The past that haunt Jake and Sarah still casts long shadows. Fear of rejection, memories of betrayal, and the harsh realities of their lives threaten to snuff out this fragile light. Moments of doubt and insecurity remind them both of the risks involved in opening their hearts. Despite these obstacles, the hope remains a guiding force. It propels them forward, encouraging them to take small but significant risks. A shared walk, a helping hand, or an honest conversation about their fears and dreams. These steps are vital for the emotional growth of the characters and the deepening of their relationship. The symbolism in this part might include natural elements, like the dawn breaking after a long night or a flower blooming after harsh weather, metaphors for renewal and the promise of better days. These images resonate with the emotional journey of Jake and Sarah, highlighting that even in the hardest times, hope can blossom. Narratively, Part 7 serves as a turning point, a moment when the story shifts from survival and guardedness to connection and possibility. The characters are no longer just existing alongside each other. They are beginning to envision a shared future. This shift deepens the emotional stakes and invests readers even more deeply in their journey. By the end of this section, Jake and Sarah have not only acknowledged their growing feelings, but have taken steps to nurture them. The glimmer of hope that flickers between them lights a path forward, one that, while uncertain and fraught with challenges, holds the promise of healing, love, and belonging. Following the fragile glimmer of hope that began to light the way for Jake and Sarah, Part 8 marks a pivotal moment in their evolving relationship, the breaking down of long-standing barriers. These barriers, built over years of pain, loneliness, and mistrust, have defined who they are and how they interact with the world. Now, through a combination of shared experiences, heartfelt conversations, and small but significant acts of vulnerability, Jake and Sarah begin to dismantle these walls, allowing themselves to truly see and accept one another. This part of the story focuses deeply on emotional breakthroughs. Jake, the once mean and lonely cowboy, starts to shed his defensive armor. His gruff demeanor softens, revealing a man who has longed for connection but feared rejection. For the first time in years, he allows himself to be vulnerable, sharing parts of his past that explain the loneliness and bitterness he's carried. These revelations are not easy, but they are necessary for true intimacy to develop. Sarah too experiences her own transformation. The fear that has governed her life, fear of being hurt, fear of losing control, and fear of trusting again, begins to lose its grip. She starts to share her own stories, her struggles as a single mother, and the dreams she has for Danny's future. This mutual opening creates a space of empathy and understanding between them that had been missing before. One of the key moments in this part may be a deeply honest conversation between Jake and Sarah, perhaps one that occurs late at night, with the world quiet around them. In this exchange, they confront their fears and hopes directly, laying bare their vulnerabilities. It's a turning point where words become bridges rather than walls. Danny, Sarah's son, continues to play a vital role in breaking down barriers. His innocence and acceptance challenge both adults to soften their hearts. Seeing Jake care for Danny helps Sarah trust Jake more fully, while Jake finds purpose and joy in being part of a family, even if it's an unconventional one. Their interactions create moments of warmth and laughter, further eroding the cold distance that once separated the adults. This part also explores the social dynamics of the small town. As Jake and Sarah grow closer, the gossip and judgment that once isolated them begin to wane. Some neighbors who were skeptical start to see the positive changes, offering quiet support or simply accepting their relationship. This external shift mirrors the internal changes happening within Jake and Sarah, emphasizing that love and acceptance can ripple outward. However, breaking barriers is not without pain. Old wounds resurface, misunderstandings occur, and the characters must navigate setbacks. As Jake and Sarah's relationship deepens and their barriers continue to crumble, Part 9 confronts a crucial and often painful stage, facing the past. Both characters carry wounds, secrets, and unresolved issues that have shaped who they are and how they relate to the world. This chapter pushes them to confront those ghosts head-on, a necessary step before they can move forward together. For Sarah, her past is marked by struggles that have made her fiercely protective and cautious. Maybe she escaped an abusive relationship, endured betrayal, or faced hardships as a single mother trying to build a better life for Danny. These experiences haunt her, sometimes in quiet moments of doubt, sometimes through external reminders that threaten to destabilize her fragile sense of security. To fully open to Jake, she must acknowledge these wounds and find a way to share them. Jake too has shadows in his history, perhaps a lost love, a family tragedy, or choices he regrets. His solitary lifestyle and gruff exterior have been shaped by these experiences. Opening up about his past means exposing vulnerabilities he has long hidden, risking judgment or rejection. Yet, it is essential if he wants to build genuine intimacy with Sarah. This part of the story often centers around pivotal conversations and emotional revelations. Maybe Sarah finally shares her darkest fears and moments with Jake, her fears of abandonment, her struggles raising Danny alone, and her dreams for a better life. Jake listens, offering empathy and support rather than judgment. which deepens their bond. Similarly, Jake might reveal painful memories that explain his guarded nature, the losses he has suffered, mistakes he regrets, or the loneliness he has endured. Sharing these stories helps Sarah understand the man behind the cowboy image and brings them closer together. Facing the past also means dealing with external conflicts that arise from their histories. Perhaps an old acquaintance from Sarah's past appears, threatening the stability she has built. Or maybe Jake's reputation in the town, shaped by rumors or past mistakes, creates tension. These challenges test their growing trust and commitment. Through these trials, the characters learn important lessons about forgiveness, acceptance, and resilience. They discover that while the past cannot be changed, it does not have to define their future. By facing it together, they transform it from a source of pain into a foundation for growth. This chapter emphasizes emotional depth and complexity. The rawness of confronting past trauma adds realism to the characters and makes their journey more compelling. It shows that love is not about perfection, but about embracing each other's flaws and histories. Symbolism may play a role here. Old photographs, letters, or places from the past serve as tangible connections to what they must confront. Weather and natural imagery might mirror their internal struggles, such as storms representing turmoil and clearing skies symbolizing hope. By the end of part 9, Jake and Sarah have confronted the shadows that once threatened to keep them apart. Though scars remain, they have chosen to face them side by side. This act of courage strengthens their relationship and prepares them for the final steps toward lasting love. As Jake and Sarah's relationship deepens and their barriers continue to crumble, part 9 confronts a crucial and often painful stage, facing the past. Both characters carry wounds, secrets, and unresolved issues that have shaped who they are and how they relate to the world. This chapter pushes them to confront those ghosts head-on, a necessary step before they can move forward together. For Sarah, her past is marked by struggles that have made her fiercely protective and cautious. Maybe she escaped an abusive relationship, endured betrayal, or faced hardships as a single mother trying to build a better life for Danny. These experiences haunt her, sometimes in quiet moments of doubt, sometimes through external reminders that threaten to destabilize her fragile sense of security. To fully open to Jake, she must acknowledge these wounds and find a way to share them. Jake too has shadows in his history, perhaps a lost love, a family tragedy, or choices he regrets. His solitary lifestyle and gruff exterior have been shaped by these experiences. Opening up about his past means exposing vulnerabilities he has long hidden, risking judgment or rejection. Yet, it is essential if he wants to build genuine intimacy with Sarah. This part of the story often centers around pivotal conversations and emotional revelations. Maybe Sarah finally shares her darkest fears and moments with Jake, her fears of abandonment, her struggles raising Danny alone, and her dreams for a better life. Jake listens, offering empathy and support rather than judgment, which deepens their bond. Similarly, Jake might reveal painful memories that explain his guarded nature, the losses he has suffered, mistakes he regrets, or the loneliness he has endured. Sharing these stories helps Sarah understand the man behind the cowboy image and brings them closer together. Facing the past also means dealing with external conflicts that arise from their histories. Perhaps an old acquaintance from Sarah's past appears, threatening the stability she has built. Or maybe Jake's reputation in the town, shaped by rumors or past mistakes, creates tension. These challenges test their growing trust and commitment. Through these trials, the characters learn important lessons about forgiveness, acceptance, and resilience. They discover that while the past cannot be changed, it does not have to define their future. By facing it together, they transform it from a source of pain into a foundation for growth. This chapter emphasizes emotional depth and complexity.